So all the data that you enter, I mean the records that you save, that gets saved to the tables in the format of rows and columns. Okay, so if I take any, the best example is the Excel. If you take Excel as the database, okay, you can consider this as a complete database. Now in the database, you have multiple tables. So ServiceNow uses in the background. Now it has got primarily uses the MySql as a database, and besides this, they also support. I mean, they also have the Oracle. Depending on the it differs. If the customer wants to be have the Oracle as a database, yes, certainly ServiceNow can keep that customer in the on the Oracle database. But however, the charge might differ. But the default database is MySql, and all the data that we enter or the records that we save, that gets saved in the form of rows and columns. So suppose if you take this Excel sheet as a database, and in the database you will have multiple tables. So all the similar records, they group together and they get saved to a table in the database. So every table will have some rows and columns. Okay, so this is the best example, the Excel is. So if you look at this particular sheet one, this sheet one can be considered as one table. Sheet 2 can be considered as another table, sheet 3 as another table. So there are multiple tables available in the system, and every table saves one setup, one particular records in it. Okay, suppose we have the users records. So the users records tables, incident records, they get saved to incident table. Problem records get saved to problem records. So all the similar records, they group together and they get saved to one specific table. Okay. So in the table, the table comprises of rows and columns, and in the table we have the row represents the complete record and the column represents the field. Okay, suppose we have sys user, so we can have name. We call it as a first name, last name, contact number, email, something like this. So if you look at the column, suppose we have some user records. Okay, now suppose we consider this as a some kind of data in the table. So if you look at the row number 2, if you look at this complete row, this will give you the complete information about one particular individual. Okay, so it's the record of an individual whose first name is A1, last name is B1, his contact number is 1, email ID is D1, and its designation is C1. So when you look at the row, and the row is giving you the complete details of one particular user, so that's the reason the row is considered as a record. Okay, so every column, if you look at just the column is giving you the information about one particular field. So if you look at the column A, it only gives you the first names of all the users in the system. Okay, but it doesn't give you the complete details of any individual. So it's only giving you the the complete individuals and their first name. And if you look at the column B, it's only giving you the last name of the all the users in the system. So that's the reason the columns are considered as the field and the row in the table considered as the record. Okay. So if you look at the system, if you look at the ServiceNow system, there are multiple tables. We have somewhere around 2,800 tables in the baseline, in the out of box. So we have 2,800, little over than 2,800 tables. And most of these tables, if you take off these 4, and the rest of the tables are created by the system itself. Okay. So these 4 tables are created by me. So these are the custom tables, and these are the other tables are created by the system itself. So though system has got multiple tables in it, we as an individual or we as an administrators can still go ahead and create new tables to the system, in the system. Okay. So out of this, over 2,800 tables, there are 2 tables which are considered as a base tables. Okay, let's see why do we call this as a base tables. And the tables which are considered as a base tables are it's task, and other one is cmdb. Okay, cmdb underscore ci. So till the Geneva release, we used to have the cmdb underscore ci as the base table, and with the introduction of Geneva, a new table has been created, that is cmdb, and this is called as the base table. Okay, base table or the core table. Now let's understand why do we call this as a base table. Now if you look at this Excel file, so let me create one new table. So this sheet 4 is like a new table, but in the new table, unless I go ahead and create the fields. So when I create a new table, what's happening? A kind of a space is getting created, isn't it? A new table getting created, but is it giving me the? But here, a space is getting created, but I don't have any
data.
Any column or any field where I can enter the data, isn't it? So if I enter anything, will that make any sense? This makes no sense until unless it has got a heading. The heading is nothing but the columns. Okay, so the fields. So when I have a table created, so when I create a new table, and unless I create the fields in this table, this makes no sense. So when suppose I'm creating a new table now, and my requirement is to add some 100 fields to this existing to this new field. And when I create the 100 fields, I can either choose to create them manually, or of these 100 fields, suppose there are 50 fields which are already available in a different fields, a different table. So instead of creating all the 100 fields manually, what I can do, ServiceNow has given you feasibility of borrowing the fields from a different table. Okay, so if this is a new table that I'm going to create and where I have a requirement to create 100 fields, and out of the 100 fields, there are 50 fields which are already available on a different table. So instead of creating all the 100 fields manually, what I can do, I can borrow those 50 fields which are already available in a different table. Okay, so when I borrow, what happens? All the 50 fields, whatever the fields that I have in this table, those fields along with its properties will be copied to the new table. So that means I already got the 50 fields from the other table. Now I have to create another 50 fields. Okay, so this has reduced my work. So the process of borrowing the fields from the one table. The borrowing the fields from the another table is called as the extending or inheriting the tables. Okay, extending or the inheriting. So the new table has extended from task table or inherited from task table. Okay, so any table which is not extended from the any other table. So you can choose to have the standalone table. So the standalone table is something, it hasn't borrowed any fields from the any other table. So that can be considered the standalone. But if you look at the system, there are many tables. Most of the tables have been extended from the task. And similarly, there are many tables which are extended from the cmdb underscore ci table. So that's the reason these two tables, the task and the cmdb underscore ci, are considered as the core or the base tables. Okay. That's the. But if you look at this relationship, the new table and the task table relationship, since the new table is borrowing the fields from the task table, there is a relationship which gets established between these two tables. Since the task table is lending the fields, task will be considered as the parent class or the parent table, and new table is borrowing the fields, it will be called as the child table. So we can call it the table of the class. Okay. So but if you look at the task and the CMDB, they are completely independent tables. But they haven't borrowed any fields from any other tables. Okay, so they don't have any other table in their base. They are just the standalone, and they are lending the fields to the other tables in the system. So that's the reason the task and the cmdb underscore ci are considered as the base or the core table. Okay. Yeah. Any questions, guys?
No. We just got it.
Oh, okay. Oh, oops. Yeah, Harpal. I'm uh, I'm not sure about this oops inheritance. I believe it's the same as the oops. If you're talking
Yeah,
about the Java,
the hierarchy. Yeah, it comes like that.
yes.
We have a concept called inheritance, right? It is similar to this.
Yes. The inheritance or the inheriting, the both are same.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah. So that's what we have for the tables. Now, if you check the system has got two modules for the tables. So one is the table and other one is the tables and columns. So when you go to the tables, it will list all the tables available in the system, and at the same time, it will allow you to create a new table. Okay. And if you go to the other module, which says tables and the columns, this in the tables and column, again it gives the list of all the tables, and at the same time, if you want to know the fields available on the table, you can find it in the same screen. So here you have three sections. So one section displays the list of the column, the list of the tables, and other section displays the fields available on that particular table. And
Okay.
yes, and when you click,
Here, I just have one question. So
yeah,
we can inherit from multiple tables, right?
oh no, you can inherit from only one table,
Okay.
not multiple
Oh,
tables.
okay. So if I'm okay, so it is going to be from one table. From this is the place where I look into all the fields and I'm
Yes.
okay.
So this is the place. Uh, this also got some other features. We'll discuss that in a bit.
Okay.
So here it has, if you look at the screen, it has got the table names, column names, another section, and we have another section called column attributes.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you select any tables from the tables list, it's going to list all the fields available in that particular table. So these are the fields which are available in the access control table. Now, if I need to know the properties of any of these fields, the moment I select the fields, the properties of the fields will be listed in the next section, okay, under the column attributes. So attributes are nothing but the properties, guys. So this is active field, and this is the choice type, value is true, it says. Whatnot, label is active, language English, mandatory false, matchable true, max length is 40. So you have all the properties of the fields will be listed in the same screen. So by coming here, in the tables and column, you can check the fields and their properties in a single screen. You need not to switch between the screens. And if you come down, you have something called Schema Map. So when you select any table, and if you want to know the relationship of a table with the other tables, then you can select that particular table and click on the Schema Map. So the moment you click on the Schema Map, it opens a new window where it will give you the relationship of this table with the other tables. Okay, so is this table inheriting the fields, or is the table inherited from any other table? And at the same time, is this table being inherited by any other tables? So it gives you both the details. And besides this, it also gives you the referencing details. We'll discuss this. We'll be discuss the field types. So for the time being, you can ignore these two, the referenced tables and the referencing tables. So we are just worried about these two options: extended tables and extending tables. So extended is something from which this particular table has been extended, and extending the other tables which are extending from this table. Okay, so what is the table that I have selected? It's the action inputs. So action inputs is here. Okay, so it's not extending. There are no other tables which are extending the action inputs, but there are a couple of other tables from which the action inputs is extending. Okay, just a minute, guys. I get confused between these two terms at times.
Yeah, when you see extended and extending, yeah, even that
yes.
is confusing.
Yes. Okay. So extending is something, any other tables which are borrowing the fields from the incident table. Okay, from this table. So extended, if this table is borrowing the fields from the other table. Okay.
Okay. So extending is incident table is giving its data to another table. Extended is like, okay, the other way. Okay.
Okay. So if you look at this particular table, this is not giving its fields to any other table. Okay. But if you want to know if this table is taking the fields from the any other table, then you can check this extended table. So it is taking the fields from the task table.
Yeah, it shows there, right? The first one is column. So it is taking from the task table. Okay.
Okay, yes. Okay. So there are a couple of tables, when we look at the task. So the incident, problem, change, they are the child tables of the task, because they get extended from the task table. and cmdb underscore, there are multiple tables which are extended from the cmdb. So we have cmdb underscore ci underscore server, cmdb underscore ci underscore hardware. So there are multiple tables which get extended from the cmdb underscore ci table. Okay. So using this schema map, you can find the relationship between the tables. Okay. Guess if you're not speaking, please mute yourself because I hear the echo.
Okay, I just have a question. In the previous diagram, you just showed that one table is extending data from two tables, right? I mean, not this
Two
one.
tables. No, it's not two tables. What happened? There is another table.
Yeah, but, the previous one was like it is extended or extending because they were like two tables.
Yeah, but there are
I
multiple tables because it's like a chain. So it was action
action input.
input. Okay. So when I take this,
In the schema map, it was like we'll just see with the extended or extending. Yeah.
okay, we'll take this off. Let's see this extended tables. And we'll remove this one.
You remove the reference tables. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing now. Okay.
See, it is like taking data from three tables, isn't it?
No, but not three tables because now this is the dictionary entry table. It's actually taking the columns data from application file, and it's
Okay.
giving the data to the variables.
Okay. So each
So if you
table
look,
is sharing its data. Okay. It is like that.
yes. So at any given point of time, one table can get extended from only one table.
One table. Okay. At a time, a
Yeah,
table can give data to only one table. Okay.
one table. So you cannot
Okay.
have multiple tables.
So if you want
And
data from different tables, maybe we can merge in this way, like giving data from different tables, isn't it?
merging, I mean, you cannot do this, I suppose.
Okay.
Okay, since this application file is a kind of base table, I mean, this is the table which is extending the fields to the another table, and from there it's extended to the variables, and from variables this action inputs is extended.
Yeah, so from the dictionary entry table, it is taking column and another two
Yes.
fields, whatever, and variables again, it's sharing its three fields to the action inputs. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, perfect. So from the tables and the columns, besides checking the schema map, you can also create the table application, and you can also browse the applications. Okay. So when we say creation of the table and the application is similar, guys. So the table is in the background, and when we say the application is just a front end. So you build a front end and attach the table to the front end. So whatever the data that is entered in the front end application, that will get saved to the your backend table that you create. Okay, so the application can be created directly. I mean, you can either first create the application and then create the table, or you can create the table and then create the application. So these both go hand in hand. Okay, so the application is just a front end, guys, using which you can capture the information, and whatever the information that is captured, that gets saved to the database. So every application in the background will have a database associated with it. Okay, so if you talk about the incident form, the one that you look at, this is the application. So this is the application because this is a front end. But in the background, whatever the data you enter here in these fields, that gets saved to the incident table. Okay. So this front end has a table associated with it. So every time you create a table or you create a application, you need to create the other thing. If you're creating the table, you have to create the application too. But in the table creation form itself, you have the facility to create the application. And at the same time, when you create the application, there also you can create the table in the same screen. Now we'll just go ahead and see how can we create the tables. So to create the table, you can either go to the tables module or the table and column module. So it's up to you, whatever you want, you can choose. I'm going to tables and clicking on the new. And this is the form using which we can create the table. And every field, if you look at the field, every field will have three values, three things associated with it. Now let me open. Okay, so if I look at the caller, this caller field has got three things. So one is the label name. Label name is nothing but which is visible to us. And this label name, this caller also will have a database name. Database name is the name of this field in the database. Okay, and other thing is the value. So what is the value, whatever the data that we enter in it, that's called as the value. Okay, and similarly, the way this field has got three things, one is the label name, which is visible on the application, and other one is the background, the database name of the particular field. The name of this particular field in the database or in the table. Okay, so when we write the script, most of the time, in the script we only use the database name. If you're trying to build some functionality and the caller field, you don't use the label name. So instead, we use the database name. Okay, so if you want to see the database name of this field, you right click and click show caller ID. So this is the database name. Caller underscore ID is the database name of the caller field. Okay, so similarly, the table also got two names. The one is the label name and other one is the name. So name is nothing but the database name of this particular table. Now, if I select, I'll say this the sample or example table. Example. And the moment I select the table name, the label name, the database name gets auto selected. Auto filled in. And since, whatever the name that you give, that will have a U underscore prefix. And this U underscore prefix tells us that, this table is created manually by someone like you and I, by an administrator like you and I. Okay, so by just looking at the tables, you can identify if that is a system created table or is it a created by an administrator. Okay, and if you have two or more words in your label name, example, we'll say ID. So what happens? Let's see how the name gets converted in the database. So when you do this, when you have two or more columns or more words, the space between the two words will be replaced by the underscore. Okay, so how many words, no matter how many words you have, those words will be replaced, the space between those words will be replaced by the underscore in the name, because name doesn't take, it doesn't take any spaces. Okay, so the label name is the what do you call the name, which can be seen by you and I, and the name of this particular table is the database name. And if you want to borrow the fields, you don't want to create the fields manually. If you want to borrow, yes, you can choose the table from which you want to borrow the fields. Okay, this is where you can check, if this table can be extended. So for the time being, I'm not choosing to extend this table. Okay, I'm just leaving it blank. Now, if you see at the right-hand side, look at the right-hand side, you have the option to create the module. So when you select this box, a module is nothing but the subsection of this application menus. Okay, so if you want to have a module to be created, you have to check this. And if you want a module for the mobile, you can check this. And if you want to add a module to menu, I mean, if you're trying to add this, so what is the application menu to which you want this module to be added to, so that you can create it here. So if you don't want to add it to the existing application menus and instead you want to create the new module, yes, you can, create the new menu, you can create here. So if you want to add it to the existing menus, you can select the particular existing menu. If not, you can choose to create your own menu. Okay, so I'm just creating the table, and this is the columns. Columns is nothing but the fields in the table. So I'm not creating any fields. I've just chosen my configuration, and I'm going to hit save or submit. And one thing, this submit button is available only on the new records. And the moment I hit submit, it saves the record and takes me back to the previous screen. And if I choose to save the record and stay on the same screen, I right click the form header and click on save. So this saves the record and stays on the same screen. Okay, so the moment this record is saved, the submit button gets disappeared. Okay, because this is no longer a new record. Okay, now if you look at the columns, there are a couple of fields, couple of columns got added by the system by default. These fields, I didn't create these fields. These fields were auto created by the system, isn't it? Yeah. Did we create any fields?
No.
Okay, yes. So the fields which are created by the system are called the system fields. This is like, created by, created date, updates, the number of times this incident is updated by, and last updated date and time. So of these fields, we are interested in the one field called sysid. So let's understand what is the sysid. So the sysid is a 32 alpha character, 32 characters long alphanumeric number, or alphanumeric, which is 32 characters long. And this is, this sysid helps you to identify the records uniquely in the system. So every time a record is created, a sysid gets created automatically. So this sysid is not something which is created by you and I. So this is something which is created by the system itself. So every time we create a new record, suppose if you create a new incident, a new sysid gets added, or a new sysid gets created for that particular record. Okay, so this sysid is unique to the every record, guys, not to the table, every record that you create. And besides this, there is also a sysid gets created for the dictionary entries. So dictionary entries is nothing but a field properties. If you're creating a field, there will be a sysid gets created for the field also. So it's not the, there is a record gets created which holds the properties of the field. And since a record getting created which holds the properties of the field, there is a sysid gets created for that particular record. Okay, so every record that we create in the system, that will have a sysid auto created, and this sysid is the combination of letters and the numbers. It is also the combination of the date the record is created and the user or the individual who has created this record. Okay. Now, since I have created the table also will have a sysid created. And this sysid, you can look at it here in the what do we call in the somewhere here. Okay, if you look at this, you can find it in the URL. This is the SysID, and if not, you can copy it from the header. You can right click the header and click on copy SysID. So 468. Okay. So SysID is starting from here. I thought it's D. It's not D. It's starting from here. Okay. So the SysID can be found in the URL. Okay. And at the same time, it also can be copied from the form header, the record header. Okay. So this is how the SysID looks. So every new record that you create, that will have a SysID created automatically. And if you want to refer to this particular record in the script, while writing the scripts, you use the sysids, but not the any other names of the or anything else. So only the sysids of this particular record, or every record will be identified uniquely by using the sysid. Okay, is that clear, guys? Any questions on the sysid?
No.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is what this is what we have the what do you call the system fields. So these fields by default gets created on all the tables that we create. Okay, so when you go to the controls, so controls again, it gives you the ability to add something, to configure this table furthermore. So if you want any other tables to be extended, or any other tables to extend from this particular table, then you can make this as extensible. So if you don't make this as extensible, when a new table gets created on the extended from, or what are the field that we have seen, this particular table will not be visible there. So if you want the other tables to be copied, or other tables to copy the fields from this particular table, you can make it as a extendable. Okay, extensible, sorry. And the auto number. So auto number is whenever a new record is created in this particular table, and if you want to have every incident or every record which is getting created in this table to be auto numbered, then you can select this auto number. So the moment you select the auto number, it gives you some option like prefix. So if you look at the incident record, so every time you create the incident record, there is an incident number which gets generated automatically, and that is controlled by the same auto number. So if you look at the incident, it has got a prefix of inc. So in the same way, you can enter what do you want to have the prefix. So the prefix will help us to identify the record. We can understand which record is this. Is it a change record? Is it a problem record? Or is it an incident? Or is it a user record? By just looking at the prefix. So that is the importance of the prefix, guys. And since you know the record that it belongs to, you can directly go to that particular table and search the record if you want to search it. Okay. So this is the prefix and the number. So how long do you want this? Oh, sorry, not the how long. So number, where do you want this auto number to be started from? Do you want it to start from 1, or do you want to start it from hundreds or thousands? That you can define here. And how long do you want this number to be? Do you want, how many digits long? So do you want it to be 7 digits, 10 digits long? That you can define here in this prefix. So whatever the data that you're entering, this auto number information, this gets saved to your table called sys_number. Okay, so suppose you have configured these things and at the later point you want to change or make changes to this the auto numbering feature. So in that case, you can directly, instead of opening the table and coming to this section, you can directly go to the number maintenance. So there is a module called number maintenance. You can directly come here. So when you click this, it opens the records from the sys_number table. So this is a sys_number table, and this is where you can control the numbering pattern. Okay, so if it is an incident, I just look for the incident table. Okay, or the escalation table, whatever the table that I want, I can just open that and control the numbering pattern. Okay, so you can do this numbering pattern. Okay, and besides this, so every time you create a table or create an application, the application creator automatically creates the role. So if you look at this, this is the role which is created by the system, u_example_user. Okay, so in order to have this table accessible or visible in the left navigation, the users should have this role associated with them. I mean, this role added to them. So if they don't have this role added to them, they won't be able to see this particular table or the module that we have created in the left navigation. Okay. Then if you move to the next section, which is the application access. So these are all again some, these are all again the permissions. So the people with this particular role, the u_example, what all they can do, that can be, that controls you can give. So if you want them create their records, if you want them to update the records or delete the records, so you can grant the different permissions here itself. Okay, so by default, they would be able to only read the records, but not able to make any changes. They cannot create the new records. They cannot create the or modify the existing records of this particular table. Okay, so guys, so this is how we can create the table. Okay, so as I told you, when we create the table, we also have the feasibility to create the application. So this is the table that I have created. Let me update this. And let me see if I can find it. Okay, so this is the table or the application that I have created, guys. So this is the application menu, and this is the module. Okay, so when I go to the application menu, nothing happens. Under the application menu, I have a module called examples. This takes me to the the list of the records created in this particular table. So for the time being, since we haven't added any fields and we haven't created any records, it's not listing any records here. Okay. And when we create the module, this module, you can tell the system what this module can do. Or else, you can add. Now this one, when I click this one, it's taking me to the, what is it doing? It's taking me to the records, and it's listing all the records created in this particular table. But instead, if you want to have a link to create the table or link to create the new record added to the this application menu, yes, you can do that. And in order to do that, you have to go to the, you have to hover your mouse on this particular application and you get this edit icon. So you click the edit icon and you have to scroll it down where you can find the modules. So under this section, under this particular application menu, we currently have only one module. So if you want to create one more, you can certainly do that. So let's click on new and create a new module. And we call this as new record or new example, something like this. And you can control the order of the modules. So I'll give 100 visibility active, and we have link type. So link type is nothing but the moment I click this particular module, what should happen? So it says list of records. So if you look at these examples, that's what it is. It has a link type. Okay, since it has got the link type as a list of records, the moment I click on the examples, it's showing me the list of the records created in this particular table. But instead, if you want to create it as a new, then you have to select this one, open and click the select the new record. So when you click the new record, it will directly open the form where you can enter the data or enter the fields and then create a new record. And here, if you want to add any conditions, you can add the conditions. So if you look at the incident, they've got multiple modules. So one module, the moment we click on the create new, it's opening the new form where we can create the records, new record. Okay, and the moment I click on open, it's going to show me the list of the records which are in the open state or the active state. Okay, and similarly, if it is a new record, and if you want to have some kind of add some filters, but for the new record, I don't think you can add the filters. But if it is the list, yes, you can go ahead and add the filters, and you can have a filters, the dynamic filters like assigned to me. So whoever logs into the system, we want to list the records which are assigned to that particular individual. So in those cases, you can add the dynamic filters like here. We cannot do this. Let me open the assigned to me menu. So let me save this real quick. Now, if I open this, do you see? So this is the filter that we have created. It says active is true and assigned to is individual, or you have something called assigned to dynamic. You can choose this also. Assigned is dynamic and me. So that means every time the user or every time anybody who logs into the system and clicks on the assigned to me link, it's going to fetch the records which are assigned to the currently logged in individual. Okay, so this kind of modules, we can create the different modules in the application and add the filters to that particular modules. Okay. And so it's assigned to the individual. So if you look at this, it's showing me the list and then adding these filters automatically. Okay, if I don't want, I can take out the filters also after coming here. And similarly, if I go to the example, I have two modules now under example. One is the examples which lists the records, and other one is the new record. The moment I click this, a new form gets opened. Okay, so this form, currently we have only one field added to the table. Okay, so there are multiple fields. If you remember, the moment we created this particular table, there are 6 or 7 fields which are added to the system or added to the table by default. And those fields are hidden somewhere in the database. And those fields are not visible on the table now, on the form. Okay, but if you want, being an administrator, yes, you can control what fields can be visible on the form and what fields can be in the database. So in order to add the other fields on the form, you have to right click the form header, go to configure, and you can go to the form layout. So when you go to the form layout, you get 2 boxes. So these boxes are called slush buckets. Okay, so the left one, which says available, represents the slush bucket in the database. Okay, the left slush bucket represents the database, the fields available in the database, and the right one is the fields available on the form. And if you want these fields to be added or available on the form, you can directly select and move them to the right slush bucket. Okay, and when I save it, now I can see all these fields in the on the form. Okay, yeah, any questions, guys?
No.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So I believe this is what we have for the day. And tomorrow, since we know how to create the tables and we know what are the different types of tables we have, and we have also seen how to create the applications and the modules from the table creation. Tomorrow we'll see how can we create the fields and what are the different types of fields ServiceNow supports. Okay. So if time allows, we will also see the form design and the form layout tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. Even I'll try doing something with this creating table and everything.
Yeah, please do that. And let me know if you experience any
Yeah.
issues.
Sure.
Okay, perfect, guys. So guys, any questions, before we leave for the day?
No, we'll practically work out, and if something comes up, maybe we'll mark it down and let you know in tomorrow's session.
Oh, okay. I'm just checking with the others.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Harpal, any questions, guys?
No for today. Yeah, after getting the record, you can look after it, and yeah, I will ask you tomorrow for sure.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect then. Okay, guys, we'll meet again tomorrow. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye-bye.